Hello, my name is Catherine Vanderlaan. If you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, what is church outreach in a box? What is going on here? What are we talking about? Let's get into it. Again, my name is Catherine Vanderlaan. I am the creator. I'm a financial coach and educator. I love Jesus. And before we get started, I just want to share a little bit of my story of why this is here, how it came about, all of that. So uh, I'll start with this. I started reading the Bible when I was 7 years old. Bible in a year program. My parents did something right, right? And um, and by the time I was 10 years old, I was living in Georgia in a very remote place between two horse farms, and I was trying to figure out if God existed. I don't know if you've been there at any point in your life trying to figure out what the truth really is here in this world, why we exist, if God is real. And if God is real, then a lot of what we believe needs to conform to that, right? We need to appreciate what the truth is, and we need to change us based on the truth. So I was outside in a large field, looking at a lake, talking to God and just waiting for him to talk back. Now, this took weeks and weeks and weeks trying to hear the voice of our Lord, hear the voice that we all long to hear. And finally, at one point outside, I was so frustrated. I was near tears as a 10-year-old. Okay, near tears, trying to figure out who is our God and why won't he talk to me? And I finally heard our God. And I will never forget the feeling of insignificance of who I am, the feeling of guilt, of shame, knowing that our God is so perfect and so just, and he decided to speak to me. So he spoke to me at 10 years old. And I think of this as my Isaiah moment where God, I I heard his voice. I heard him calling me daughter. I heard him saying, "I'm here and I'm here for you and I love you." And I just fell on my knees and went, "You, not me. You can't use me. I have sinned too much. My guilt is too much." And God said to me, "No, you are mine and I came to save you. I came to love you and I love you with all of my being. If it were just you, I would die for you." And like Isaiah, I felt that God had fully cleansed me in and out. And then he asked, "What will you do? If I send you, will you go?" And I said, "Yes, God. Yes, Lord, I will go. Please send me. I will do whatever you want. Please send me." So since then, God has sent me in multiple places. God sent me to the workforce. God sent me to be a witness in some of the most, well, maybe not the most corrupt, but pretty uh, places that most Christians don't go. I was the only Christian in my office, and I followed him. Not perfectly, but I followed him. And people knew that I was a Christian, and I was the only Christian a lot of them had ever met. Uh, he sent me and developed my skills and my talents. He developed my talent for education, developed my talent for creating curricula. He developed my talent for technology, for video editing. He developed my talent for managing people. He developed my talent for technology. And then he developed my talent for finances and building courses and things that can help people, lots of people. So a few years ago, I was asking God, he asked me to start my own company, so I did. And since then, now I'm in my mid-30s, and since then I've realized that anything that God asks me to do, I better just do it, right? Just do it. And yes, be good stewards of what God has given you. Yes, invest wisely. Yes, do a lot of different just be wise with what God has given you. At the same time, when God asks you to do something that you consider to be without reason. I was going to say insane, but maybe that's not all that kosher. Um, do it. Just do it. Always works out really, really well. So here we are. We're talking about church outreach in a box, and I want you to hear my heart. This came from God asking me to do it. I was on my knees. I was asking God what He wanted me to do. And this is it. This is the beginning. We're at the very beginning. I have boxes, and I'll show you one in a moment. I have boxes, but first I want to tell you what it is. What it is. So let's get into that. I'm going to share my screen here. And you can ask questions afterward. If you are watching this after it's been recorded, go ahead and put in that contact field if you have anything that you'd like to ask me or um, oh, what was I going to say? Anything that you would like to ask or ask for. There's also a request box in there. I think it might be one and the same. I haven't built that page yet, but if you're seeing this, the page is built. So you can request a box. You can also ask me questions. So anyway, let me tell you what this is. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll go from there. So hopefully this is working. See. Let's see here. If I just hit this button. Here we go. So what is church outreach in a box? Let's go through a few things here. Number one, the missionary outreach model. So what is that? What is the missionary outreach model? Then what is church outreach in a box? And then a bunch of things that go into it. So training your volunteers, setting up the outreach portion, promoting each part, materials available, and contact info and questions. So you can contact with me. Here's the mission. And I'm going to briefly go through these. These are really my life verses. These are the verses that fueled this whole project among many, many, many others. And I can send you like 28 pages of those if you want, but but these are really it. So go and make disciples of all nations. Him we proclaim that we may present everyone mature in Christ. So Colossians 1:28. Luke 9 verses 1 and 6. So he called the 12 together and gave them power and authority to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. That is what they did. The Lord appointed 72 others and sent them on ahead of him, two by two, into every town and place where he himself was about to go. Pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Go. Behold, I am sending you out as lambs in the midst of wolves. So this is when he sent the 72. So not just the 12, but the 72. So let's get into what the missionary model is. So the missionary outreach model, and I didn't put outreach on there just because it didn't fit the slide. But this is really the missionary outreach model. It is number one, go into a community that God's called you into. Two, find a major community need. Three, provide that need somehow and build relationships while doing so. Four, tell those people the good news of Jesus Christ. And five, invite them to keep learning more about God and make a decision to follow Jesus. Now, again, this is the missionary outreach model. It stops at outreach. That's when discipleship starts, right? You have a believer who is a baby believer, and you start the discipleship process. This is just for outreach. So I came up with this mostly because I have met with and worked with hundreds of different missionaries from all around the world. My husband was a Chi Alpha campus missionary before he became a pastor. He did that for like 14 years, 13 years, something like that. And I was there for the majority of it. Uh, we hosted missionaries in our basement, and full disclosure, when we host missionaries, I like to make them dinner and then I like to ask them a bunch of questions. So if they don't want to be asked a bunch of questions, don't have them stay with us for a day or two. So when missionaries travel in and out of our area, we like to host, and I've talked to hundreds of missionaries at this point. So this came about from talking to those hundreds of missionaries and figuring out my number one question is, what do you do in your community that God has clearly called you into? What do you do to facilitate relationship building to know people and be able to tell people the good news of Jesus Christ. Now, this is from talking to missionaries in Indonesia, around the continent of Africa, in many in China, in many Vietnam, many different. Oh, I mean Ireland and France, the United States, South America, many different places. This is the model. This is it. Now, let me talk about this second point, number two over here, this find a major community need, because a lot of people look at that and go, well, I mean, it can be anything. And it really actually can be anything. So in East Boston, I know a church that does this really well. They provide English as a second language classes. And that's fantastic. That is wonderful. They're helping the immigrants learn English and integrate into society. But so let's talk about this need. Now, anyone with a psychological background at all looks at this and goes, "Ugh, we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs again." Look, I know it's a flawed model, but this is the model that we're using and the model that we have. And it's really good for this. And let me tell you why. So if you don't know this, Maslow's hierarchy of needs basic function is showing people that you need to fulfill the bottom needs before you can get to the needs on top of that. So things like basic water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, all of that needs to be met before people can start focusing their mental energy on fulfilling needs above that. Safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, self actualization needs. And this is a simplified version of this model. So I'm doing that on purpose. I don't need to overload you here in information. When it comes to the missionary model, we focus on the bottom two needs. And the outreach in a box model focuses a little bit more on those safety needs. So personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Some churches definitely focus on physiological needs. So I know a church and a group of churches that send people to Egypt to to build wells and purify water in communities where they don't have clean water. That is a physiological need that helps a lot of people. And in doing that, they are building many relationships between God's people and the people God is reaching. So it's fantastic to do that. Here in the United States, we tend to have, and in developed countries, we tend to have a lot of these physiological needs already met for a vast majority of the population. And if it isn't met, we have programs to meet those. What we don't have are too many resources to help them with safety needs. So that is where outreach in a box takes place. That's where we are focusing here. So now if we look at the missionary outreach model, we can apply that to your church. So you are already in your church in a community that God's called you into. That is your neighborhood, that is your workplace, that is your home. And actually, everyone is in a community that God has called them into. And if you feel called somewhere else, go. I promise you. If God is calling you somewhere, it'll be good. Second, major needs improving. So now in particular, we are talking about the very first program in church outreach in a box, which is the financial abundance course. So this is how this fits in. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. But improving personal finances is a major need. It is a major need. So over 78% of the United States and growing because of inflation is living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have these safety needs met because of their personal finances. So putting on this course will fill that need and naturally build relationships in your community. That is what we're doing, and that is how the course is designed to naturally build these relationships. There are many workshop sections and activities. There are group activities that open up discussion. So it will naturally build relationships in your community to put on that course. Now, I want to clarify something. It is a straight financial literacy course. I do not mention God in it unless I'm talking about myself. I do not bring up any Bible verses. This is not a financial stewardship course. It is a financial literacy course. Here is where the gospel comes in the fourth bullet right here. Each class has a section. This is key. So please listen. Each class has a section where your volunteers come up to give a 5-minute, very specific testimony to talk about what God has done in their lives as it applies to what they just learned in the course. So it is fully in context for the people there. It is 5 minutes. It's honestly, it's 10 sentences. Okay. It is written out. People, yes, they have creative control. They're telling their own stories in a very, very specific, concise format. And then they invite people to pray with trained volunteers who listen, who contextualize, who understand the needs of the person that they are talking to. I mean, this takes some practice. There is a training in here in the facilitator's guide, in the online facilitator's guide. So anyway, that is the key point. So 1 through 5, you're in a community, you are filling a major need by putting on financial abundance, and any other course that is in church outreach in a box will fill a major community need of yours. So just select one. The first one right now, as I'm recording this, the only one is financial abundance. I'm in development on the other ones, I promise. 3 is you are building relationships by putting on this course and inviting people in your community to be there. 4, you are telling people about God at the end of each class, your volunteers are. And 5, each class ends with a gentle invitation to prayer, and if you want to, an invitation to other church activity. Okay, let me go into now what is church outreach in a box. So it is a program. Church outreach in a box is an overarching program that has class options within it. So the program itself has multiple pieces. There are promotion pieces, half of which are to get your church on board and volunteer and get trained in giving testimonies and in having uh, Jesus conversations with people right now in the 2020s, right? Uh, the other portion is putting on this class for your community, right? So it is a whole outreach program, start to finish, from the very first time you promote it to the last class is about 13 or 14 weeks. And whoop, I've just lost you there. Stay with me, stay with me. So there's the getting your getting your congregation on board, getting them volunteered, all volunteered up, training your volunteers, getting people to invite their friends, invite their communities, and then it is putting on the course for 7 weeks. Each course is about 7 weeks long. So right now we have financial abundance. That's the first community need option here. It's a financial literacy course that opens discussion about values and belief. The second one is going to be a 7-week program on getting a new full-time job. That's another one of the talents God gave me. I do all of these things, by the way. Well, not all of these. I don't do applied nutrition. I'll need somebody for that one. And I prefer to partner with somebody for elder care. But each of these is a community need. We're using talents within God's organization, God's kingdom, to put these on, and then talents to train people and disciple people within your congregation and reach out to your community. So that's what this is. I hope that made it clear. I'm not sure that it did. Go ahead and ask me questions afterward. But it is multiple community needs that can be met. You choose your course that you want to put on for your community and then train your congregation. So let's get into training your volunteers. There are a few volunteers that are needed for every single one of these church outreach in a box programs. The first one is the facilitator. Now, your facilitator is basically your MC. Every single one of these courses is recorded, so you have all of the materials available to put it on. So your facilitator welcomes everyone to the church, introduces the flow of each lesson. Here's what you're about to learn, and facilitates the workshop portions. So your facilitator also will be the one introducing your volunteers. So your greeters and prayer partners, your your testimonial volunteers in every class. Your organizer, usually that's the same person as the facilitator. It's a big job if you put the two together. Your organizer is the person who organizes all the volunteers, keeps track of registration, and maybe sends out some emails saying, Hey, we're about to start. Don't forget, it's in the sanctuary, it's in the fellowship hall at this time, at this date. So they are keeping everything organized, providing all the materials to the volunteers and the attendees, making sure that everybody knows where they're supposed to be and what is going on. Then you have greeters and prayer partners. And if you have the facilitator's guide with you, if you're online looking at it, or if you have the book, which I'm happy to send you, just one box per congregation. So if you fill out that get me a uh, box on this webpage, if you're looking at this after the fact, uh, then you'll get everything in a box. Okay. So, and I'll show you that box in a moment. So, greeters, prayer partners, these are the volunteers that are being asked to greet everyone at the beginning of each lesson and pray with them at the end. So they're also the people for facilities based questions like, hey, where are the bathrooms? Then you have your AV person who may or may not need to be there in person. They coordinate the videos, the sound, the lighting, so everything just runs smoothly. You can just ask your AV person to train you on how to use everything, and then just keep them on call to make sure that oh, it blew up. What do I do? If you're putting on childcare, then you'll need childcare volunteers. And most states say to have at least two people who are unrelated to watch kids if it's in a closed environment. So just make sure that you're following your state regulations on that one. And if you are a church, you probably know them. Testimonial volunteers, these are the key people. It's a public speaking role. At the end of each lesson, a testimonial volunteer gives a 5-minute testimonial about how they struggled with something discrete, applicable to that lesson. They asked God for help and God showed up. It is not a whole life testimonial, but it is a very quick testimonial and invitation to prayer. Okay, let's talk about the testimonial training because that is a key piece. This is usually held 2 or 3 weeks before the first day of the course. So, financial abundance, it's a 7-week course. Get a new full time job is a 7-week course. So, this is 2 or 3 weeks before the start date of the course. You sit everybody down, you find a time, and you go through training people on how to give a 5-minute testimony. Now, like I said, it is all recorded, so you can go into the online financial abundance facilitator's guide and get the recording for this, or you can go to the print facilitator's guide and read how to train people on testimonials. So this flow is for the train. There's a training agenda. I'll just tell you that we have it. I want to let you know very, very specifically, outreach and evangelism are the goals of this program. Those are the goals. It is to welcome people from your community into your church, to build relationships. That one's actually key. It doesn't really even need to be in a church, but build relationships with people, with Jesus followers, so that people will want to know who Jesus is. Okay. Financial literacy for this specific program, the very first one, financial abundance, is the safety need the community is being fed with so that we can establish relationships through help. Okay. Okay. Evangelism comes from the testimonies at the end of the class and prayer and conversations after class. So it's the in class testimonies, the after class conversations, and the after class prayer. When we ask God to show up, He does every time without fail. And I have been on missions fields. He shows up every time. If you are in a church, you know that God shows up every time. We are going to step out in faith and ask God to show up. And guess what? He will. Okay. Now here I want to go into what it takes to really put this on and get a congregation to buy in here. So outreach and evangelism, financial classes take about 3 weeks of promotion to gather attendees from within the church, they will not, your congregation is not going to invite their communities unless they know it's A, an outreach program, and B, they're comfortable with the program. So you have a few different options for that, but comfort comes from familiarity. Some churches put it on just for their churches first, right? We want to know that this is a quality program. You can also just watch the whole thing in the facilitator's guide if you want. I don't care. I'm not gatekeeping it. Go in and watch it. What I don't have is it free on YouTube because I want this to be a church program. I want this to be an outreach program. So I don't have these courses for free on YouTube. I want them to have to come into your church to get this for basically free, for $40 for the workbook. But anyway, everyone's first reaction to announcing an outreach program or a financial program generally is, this isn't for me. It takes 3 to 17 conversations to get to the next step. And yes, I know that's a lot. I am not telling you to have 17 conversations. I am just letting you know right now that everyone's first reaction to a finance program, not everyone's, but like 99% people will say, oh gosh, this isn't for me. I don't need that. No. And it's because money is emotional and money is a taboo topic. So let's get beyond that. This is why promotion, if you got your box, promotion takes 7 weeks because of all of this. And believe me, I've been there, I've done this. Please just believe me on this. After personal buy-in takes about 3 weeks of promotion, and then people are in. The regular church attendees want to attend themselves. After that, it takes another week or so to get volunteers and get people to personally, to sign up for the testimonial part. So as soon as they sign up for that, that's when we schedule, as soon as we have like 4 people. And they might double up. So you don't need 7 separate people. You can do one and you can have people double up. All of that, just open the facilitator's guidebook, please, and you'll see all of the different potential topics. You'll see the whole flow. It's not that hard. So getting people to volunteer takes another week and those personal one-on-one invitations. So you go up to Judy and you say, hey, Judy, I saw that you want to attend the class. Did you hear about those testimonial volunteers that we need? I think you'd be so great, and I'm happy to train you. And I know it's scary, but I would love for you to do it. Do you mind? Uh, do you mind giving a 5-minute testimony in front of a small group of people or a large group of people, depending on how many signed up? All right. So then it takes another 2 or 3 weeks of familiarity to get people to be willing to invite their communities to a financial program, letting them know that, yeah, it's at a church and there's going to be like just a few minutes personal testimony at the end. But I promise you it's a financial literacy course. So here's a little graph that shows you, and this is just a standard deviation curve. Week 1, you might get a few signups from the congregation. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Week 2, you'll get a handful of signups from the church. Week 3, you'll double your signups from the church. Okay. Week 4, you are going to get peak church member sign up and maybe a few people volunteer. Okay. I promise this is how this works. Week 5, the church will start to consider inviting people. All right. They will start to consider. And throughout here, you're going to get people going, yeah, I should probably invite people, not seriously. And they're going to ask questions. How do I invite people? And you'll have flyers. How do I invite people? You'll get nobody. Week 5, you'll start to see people actually inviting. Week 6, the church is excited about inviting people. They are gung-ho, they're excited. You have your volunteers. They have been trained. They have been talking about it with other people. They are really excited about inviting people now. And week 7, your follow-ups happen and you get a bunch of non-church people registered for program. And that's really when you start. So what do you have available for promotional material? You have a full suite of promotional material available. You have 7 separate announcements and announcement slides. You have a flyer, which you do have to put in where and when this is happening so that people will scan the QR code. You have emails that are drafted for you. You have, with fill in the blank, when are you doing this stuff? You have social media posts drafted, and actually a lot of them drafted and the graphics available to you. So you have, as far as I know, everything that we used, everything you need available to you to put this on. That's me from a few years ago. So thank you for listening. Thank you. I am opening it up to questions. Please, please ask me anything. I am happy to help you. We do have future goals for church outreach and box. So expanding the reach needs, creating an evangelism center with pastors. to train different churches, making sure that you know how to do outreach. So contact me if you want a helping hand. I'm happy to help you schedule things and figure out, sift through everything, so that you know how to promote this and really reach your congregation. So that is it. Feel free to email me your questions. If you're watching this, feel free to ask me now in the chat. I'm going to stop recording. Let's reach our communities for Jesus. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm going to show you a box. So if you are looking for a box, I'm going to show you a box. Uh, give me a moment. Okay, I think we're back. Here is the box. So this is church outreach in a box. So open me to get everything you need. There's the open, and there's the church, the missionary outreach model. Again, I really should put outreach on there. But then inside the box, you have, well, a way to contact me. Your overview of available materials. So read that. And the little code at the bottom, this is key, gets you into the facilitator's guide. Okay, the online one, which with all the videos and everything, which you need to put it on. Then it also has a sample workbook. So this is what your attendees are going to need. It's $40 on Amazon. You can Google it, or you can just click on the link in the online facilitator's guide. Then you have a print facilitator's guide in this box. So this is for you to know how to put this on. It's for your facilitators and your organizers. You have an example promotion schedule in here, an example flyer. You have a printout of your pulpit announcements. You have a printout of all of the slides available to you. There's a bunch of goodies in here. So if you are looking for a box, go ahead and fill out a request form for the box. Tell me what church you go to. Tell me what you are planning to do with this. I am curious to know. And I also want to make sure that it's being sent to Bible believing, Jesus loving churches. So people who are really, really serving our Lord and Savior. Not, I'm not going to even say what not, because I don't want to get sued by anybody. But go ahead and tell me the church and the address. Where should I send it? Who should I send it to? And I'm happy to send them out. I have like I don't know, at this point I have like 100 of them, but I'm happy to make more. So, all right, go ahead and I'll talk to you soon. Again, my name is Catherine Vanderlaan. I love Jesus. I hope you do too. And I hope many, many, many more people in this world love Jesus really soon. All right, talk to you soon.